people speaking to or discussing coordination units and things like that. So I know that on all CM media, they are run through the police department in the background and stuff.
I'd elaborate on that just a little bit. There were a series of meetings with that particular group because of the size and the number of people that were expected. Certainly the fact that they were interested in serving alcohol was a part of those meetings, but it was only a piece of it. There were a lot of things that were discussed and worked out in those meetings, with the sale of alcohol certainly being a part of that.
So what does Olathe and Oakland Park charge? Do you remember?
Gosh, no, I don't. I can get that information for you.
Maybe $50 per day, $100 per day?
I really, at this point, I'd hate to venture a guess on that, but 25 is typically what most people charge. But that doesn't mean that they can't be changed or adjusted.
It just doesn't seem like it's, I mean, there's, why lift a finger for that kind of cost? You know?
The alternative might be that they just get one for a whole year for $100. And then you can't really charge more than $100.
I mean, that would be going backwards. I mean, I would think that we could generate a little more revenue than $100 off of a 4-day or a 3-day festival. It's just, it seems like there's more administrative work in than that than there would be, you know, it's just my feeling. I don't know, Chris or Brian?
Well, I don't think that we need to make this a revenue generating system for the city. I mean, for as far as administrative work, I mean, really all it is having them fill out a form and you filling out a certificate form, and
Correct.
Then it's done. So we really don't think anything more than $25 a day is, she's not putting more into it than that.
Well, and if you're saying that it's probably, I mean, 60% child bracket, and that's above the median and above the mean.
I mean, we're doing this because it's a state statute now.
Correct.
And as long as we're getting the money out of it that you're putting into it, I'm fine with what we're putting in.
I believe we are. I mean, the time that I spent on it is very minimal. I think the police department probably spends more time on running the background or their investigation.
How would council like to proceed with ordinance 2387?
And move we pass ordinance 2387 adding to the City of Gardner Municipal Code, Title 520, Article 8. The temporary serial malt beverage permits required for temporary seafood and payment of a fee to the city clerk for the sale of cereal malt beverages and special events within the City of Gardner.
Second.
Motion Morrow, second Broxman, that we pass ordinance 2387. Morrow.
Yes.
Broxman.
Yes.
Bodovich.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yeah.
2387 passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. Business item number 2, consider adopting a resolution describing the 2011 corporate limits and boundaries of the City of Gardner. David.
Whenever there's a change in boundary, these cities are required to pass a resolution and file it with the county clerk. This year, in October, we annexed about 40 acres for the school district. That increased the city's land area from 10.18 square miles to 10.24 square miles. The area is shown in outlined, our boundary is shown in blue, so that's the current corporate limits of the City of Gardner.
Doreen, that's resolution
1861.
61. Council, any questions? How would you like to proceed with resolution 1861?
I move we approve resolution number 1861 describing the 2011 corporate city limits and boundaries of the City of Gardner, Kansas.
Second.
Motion Broxman, second Morrow, that we adopt resolution 1861. Broxman.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Bodovich.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yeah.
1861 passes. New business item number 3, consider approval of ordinance number 2388, terminating and releasing of record a dedicated ingress-egress easement located on property owned by Joy and Jeff Jacobs. David?
Yeah, this is a fairly narrow 6-foot by 600 feet easement that goes from US 56 highway up into the Moonlight Plaza property. It's on the west side of the main entrance road into the shopping center. It was dedicated back when the property was developed back in the 90s. It's dedicated to the city as an ingress-egress easement. The owners and their surveyor were looking at it and thought, why is this dedicated to the city? It's a public utility. The sidewalk basically provides access into the shopping center. It's adjacent to a private roadway, and it's maintained by the shopping center. So our recommendation is to go ahead and vacate the easement.
Questions?
The property just to the west of that, that's what we recently rezoned.
Yes, sir.
Do we have future business on the future agenda for
I
this?
think it's working its way through the process, yes.
Would council like to proceed with ordinance 2388?
Move we pass ordinance number 2388, terminating and releasing of record a dedicated ingress-egress easement located on property owned by Joy and Jeff Jacobs.
Second.
Motion Broxton, second Morrow, that we pass ordinance 2388. Broxton.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Harrison.
yes,
Bodovich. Yes. 2388 passes. New business item number 4, consider passing ordinance 2389, amending Title 13, Utilities, Chapter 13.45, Systems Development Charge, Chapter 13.45.45.020, Definitions, to clarify responsibility for water main extensions.
Okay. It's kind of been a long, in the city of Gardner, our master plan indicates a 12-inch water main grid on the section line roads on 1 mile intervals. Those function as distribution, however, they do serve as transmission between our water towers, but their main purpose is distribution. There have at times come where we've ended up in situations where developers would say, this is part of your transmission system, should be covered by your system development charge, which handles your production and transmission needs. To clear this up, we're recommending that the definitions in this ordinance be changed to include items items K and L, which just defines the distribution system as including everything that's 12-inch diameter or less, and then defines a transmission main, of which we have a few mainly between our plant and our 883rd Street Tower, as water lines in excess of 12-inch diameter. So it's a clarification, a housekeeping item. We'll just clear up the questions that may come up is why don't you just build this with your system development charge instead of having it installed as part of the development.
Questions? How would council like to proceed with ordinance 2389?
I move we pass ordinance 2389, amending Title 13, Utilities, Chapter 13.45, System Development Charge, Chapter 13.45.45.020, definitions to clarify responsibility for water main extensions.
Second.
Motion Morrow, second Broxton, that we pass ordinance 2389. Morrow.
Yes.
Broxton.
Yes.
Bodovich.
Yes.
Harrison.
yes,
2389 passes. New business item number 5, consider a resolution supporting the application for tax credits for the construction of single-family housing at Willowbrook Estates. One note, this actually is your resolution 1862, and on the Staff recommendation, it says affordable apartment, and that is incorrect. It is single-family homes. Melissa?
Mayor and Council, tonight I have David Rhodes here with me, and I'm going to go ahead and invite him up. He's made application before the city of Gardner in the past for his senior development that is neighboring these single-family homes. They're off of Madison, and he owns the property that's on Oak Street and then on McKinley, and asked that we consider a resolution of support for 33 units for senior or affordable housing through the state's tax credit program. And we have been party to resolutions like this over the last few years for different developments. Mr. Rose has been very successful with his senior development and is looking to kind of flank this with family housing that could be used by seniors or for affordable housing. So, questions?
Questions? What?
In the information here, I mean, it says that the applicant proposes to construct 33 single-family detached homes to be targeted to the elderly with maintenance provided. I mean, are there certain stipulations as to who can move in there and you know, does it have to be elderly? Does it, what are there stipulations about children? I know that the development there is senior development. There's not anybody under that wouldn't be considered a senior citizen living at Willowbrook currently, right?
Correct. This is, my name's Dave Rhodes with Bethel Estates. What we found is when we did phase 2, there was a lot of seniors that wanted a single-family home versus the apartment setting. They were moving out of their existing home and they wanted something a little larger than what we were currently providing. As we've gone into phase 3 now, the people that are inquiring about phase 3 are asking the same questions. We have these 33 lots that exist. It would be seniors, and we would allow families, if they qualify, to move into these homes. We're trying to design them to fit right into the neighborhood, like the surrounding houses. These are people that will have to qualify, just like the Bethel Estates project that have to qualify. It is a restricted income. In other words, they can't exceed certain income, but they want to live in a single-family home versus the apartments. We've owned these lots, and obviously, back in 2008, we thought we'd build single-family homes for, citizens, and we found that maybe we should offer these up for seniors and families that want to move around the same complex.
Are they going to be occupant-owned, or will they be leased?
It's a new state program that actually has just come out in the last couple of years, and if they live there 10 years, they will get a discounted purchase price against that house.
But they're still rentals.
Yes, they're rentals. The rentals that we would own and maintain.
What would the square footage be?
We're trying to make them just like the surrounding homes, probably a minimum of 1,500 square feet. 2-car garage, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, partial basement, and a full basement.
And the price, if you wanted to buy them?
They would be in the probably $200,000 range if you wanted to purchase them.
And what are the income restrictions? That's pretty high for.
Well, because if we do the tax credit project, we would have rental rates that would be in the $950 range.
So the difference between the construction costs and the.
I pay. I assume.
But you get tax credits in.
That's correct.
So we actually, taxpayers pay.
That's correct.
On the state of Kansas, I want to
State,
make that clear.
yeah, the
It's
state of
not
Kansas, not the city. Not the city.
What does the city get out of it? I mean,
Well, you get permits, you get fees, you get taxes, you get 33 more residents that live in your community, which you currently don't have.
and we do get the taxes, the property taxes.
Yeah, it's taxed at a normal property tax rate for any home in Gardner.
Now, there's probably other people that are, other projects inside other municipalities that are interested in these tax credits. Is it if you get them, they don't get them, or if the tax credits are extended someplace else, they won't be extended here?
The state gets X amount of dollars in tax credits. They view applications across the entire state. If you don't score high on their rating system, you will not get the tax credits. So I make application with the anticipation of being one of the people that has presented a good enough package and has a good enough track record to get those tax credits. If I don't get them, they may go to Wichita, they may go somewhere else to me.
And David, you've been involved with all the other
Right.
developments in there. I realize there's different ownership groups that have owned some of the other.
I'm the general partner and owner of every one of those.
Okay.
So it's staying consistent throughout everything.
Well, that's
Obviously,
great to hear.
I will protect these houses just like I have them.
And would this be the third?
This will be the fourth.
The fourth.
Right.
Okay. And you
We did 36 units in phase one, we did 48 units in phase two, and we've done 48 units in phase three. Plus the clubhouse, plus the leasing office. The clubhouse is about 2,400 square feet, and the leasing office is about 1,200 square feet. We see doing 33 houses is just kind of adding to this total complex.
And we've been successful on
We are 100% at a rating list.
on all three of the applications. You've been successful.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And the state does 2 rounds. If we don't get an approval, then we'll submit it back in September, and that's why I'm asking for this to be through December 31st of this next year.
Oh, so you could resubmit
I
without
can
another
resubmit
resolution?
without another resolution.
Okay.
Last year the state saw a large number of these, and I'm sure Mr. Rhodes could testify to that. We had another project last year that made its way through the Planning Commission and ultimately submitted up at University Park at 167th and Moonlight. Those folks had a fairly strong looking package and were not successful. So it's a very competitive market for these credits.
So are they appraised at commercial value or residential? The property tax.
Our residential.
And what is the definition of elderly who can live there, and how do you monitor?
55 or more is the definition. Includes me.
That close.
The previous pieces, the 3 previous pieces, were you able to get tax credits like this for those as well?
Yes, and I did not get them on the first application. Last year, the applications had so many applications, they discontinued the second one. They had that many people applying for tax credits. There's no assurance or guarantee that I'll get these.
Will you build something there if you don't get them?
Eventually.
And you said that possibly that also look into having families, small families. Would there be a restriction on the number in the family?
No, but I would probably use good leasing sense that I'm not going to have a family too large to cause too much damage, because I will.
Well, you can't really restrict that other than, I think there's a maximum.
There's a credit criteria that they have to meet, and if they don't meet that, I can't restrict who lives there based on credit ratings.
So if they don't have good credit, well, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
If they don't have good credit, I do not have to.
And what will the income limits be then?
I think a family of 3 is around 45,000.
And beyond that, that's the top total household income?
Right, and I don't know those numbers off the top of my head. There's a scale based on the number.
And is it,
And I'm targeting families.
does the rent go up if you
No, that's,
make over that amount?
you don't
You
qualify.
can't.
You can't rent.
Where do you think the people that are living in Gardner now are living instead of these places? I mean, where are you drawing the people that will live here?
The people that currently come to live in our apartments, the seniors that come to our apartments, is because their kids live here. I got a call on the way over here today, somebody from Tulsa, Oklahoma is coming into town to visit their kids for Christmas, and they want to rent an apartment for us. So we have found that it's not necessarily the Gardner residents that are moving into our units, but their kids live here and have seen our units and are bringing their parents closer to where they can take care of them. And that's what we're trying to target, is give them another alternative rather than an apartment. Because apartments are 842 square feet, for a 2-bedroom apartment. You take a 1,600 square foot home, and it's a lot different. We think we can attract more people.
So, did you also own the properties adjacent to them where the houses were built? You didn't.
I owned the property to the west where the 36 units, but I didn't do anything with the single family.
The Bethel
The
Estate.
Bethel Estate. I didn't do the single family.
And somebody in Kansas is giving these.
Somebody's going to
Better.
issue this.
Oh, yeah.
The state has X amount of tax credit. They are going to issue these to
These
some.
some-
Melissa, do you know how many total rental units we have in the city? Like, do we know what percentage we have of rentals versus home ownership?
The census has numbers that you can look at on that, but as far as
In
us
2000.
tracking that, we can pull it up, I'm sure, but I don't have it on me.
Our intention, the reason that we're trying to do the single family housing, our intention is to make homeowners. Because if they live there an X amount of period of time, we intend to make them homeowners. Purchase those homes. But we will hold it for 15 years before they do.
Other questions? Christie, any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. How would council like to proceed with resolution 1862?
I move we adopt resolution number 1862, supporting the application for tax credits for the construction of single-family homes at Willowbrook Estates, located at the intersection of Oak Street and McKinley Street.
Second.
Motion Broxman, second Morrow, that we adopt resolution 1862. Broxman.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes,
Bodovich.
No.
1862 passes. New business item number 6, consider adopting resolution number 1863, authorizing the offer for sale of certain general obligation bonds of the city of Gardner, Kansas. Laura.
Good evening. This is the ongoing saga of the Kill Creek Sanitary Sewer Benefit District, fondly known as the Russell property. Council may recall that we have a lawsuit settlement agreement that happened after we renewed the temporary notes last time. And in anticipation of that, when we renewed the temporary notes, we put in a 6-month call provision, and I said, if we get a settlement, we're going to keep this thing moving. And I'm here to tell you that you already know that we filed the settlement agreement, and this is and we're going to keep this thing moving part. Really, all that's left, we've already done the additional larger special assessments to capture the amount for accrued interest and financing that their delay cost us. So we've done all the steps except sell the debt. And this step is the notice of sale as required to sell the debt that redeems the temporary notes and turns them into permanent financing GO bonds, all of which goes back as special assessments against this benefiting property.
Questions?
I'm just glad we're at this
Why
point.
we're at this point. Absolutely.
How would council like to proceed with resolution 1863?
I move we adopt resolution number 1863, authorizing the offer for sale of certain general obligation bonds for the city of Gardner, Kansas.
Second.
Motion Morrow, second Brockstrom, that we adopt resolution 1863. Morrow.
Yes.
Brockstrom.
Yes.
Bodovich.
Yes.
Harrison.
yes,
1863 passes.
Okay, next step will be the actual sale,
And when will that occur?
January 17th.
11 a.m. New business item number 7, consider authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement with the owners of the not mislead property regarding easements. David?
This is the, of course, the unincorporated property between Center and Moonlight. Recently sold the 40 acres to the school district for the school district property. The railroad has approached the owners of the property to buy a 50-foot strip of right-of-way along their railroad frontage from approximately their west line where it intersects the right-of-way to about the extension of White Drive. As part of the sale between the landowners and the school district, they agreed to dedicate to the city any needed sewer easements to get from the school site to where we are going to be pushing our White Drive interceptor sewer under the tracks. As part of the arrangement with the Burlington Northern Santa Fe, the owners have asked the city to basically, by this agreement, to basically consent to the sale to the BNSF, and also to not put the sewer easement that has yet to be dedicated and defined in this property. We've examined the limits of what's being proposed for the acquisition. It stops west of where we need to be to make the connection with our sewer, so this agreement has no impact on either the benefit district sewer that will be put in should the bond issue be successful between the school district site and our sewer, and then our interceptor sewer under the tracks to the north. So we would recommend approval of this agreement.
Questions? How would council like to proceed?
I move we authorize the interim city administrator to execute an agreement with the not mislead family, committing the city to require the sewer line to stay outside the property being sold to BNSF.
Second.
Motion Brockstrom, second Morrow, that we authorize the interim city administrator to execute an agreement with the not mislead family, committing the city to require the sewer line stay outside the property being sold to BNSF. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. New business item number 8, consider approving the 2012 state legislative agenda for the city of Gardner. Melissa?
Okay, Mayor and Council, one of the topics that we've discussed before was the legislative agenda. And there were a few items that were brought up and discussed, and what staff has done the research, put together the wording for you to consider, and those items start at, I believe, number 15 with the commercial property evaluations, and then there are items 17 were the two that were previously discussed. Item number 16, as noted in the staff report tonight, is another item that was added joint with Johnson County, and it pertains to redistricting that will occur over in the state after the census was completed in 2010. And that redistricting concern is primarily related to making sure that Johnson County is appropriately counted and considered when those new seats are formed over in the legislature. So if there's any questions specific on that, I did ask the county to send me some information that they were gathering, and I haven't received that yet, but I'm sure we'll be getting it soon. But ideally, it's just to make sure that we're counted in the right margin of error, so that our residents in Gardner are counted in their votes over there equally to the rest of the state. Votes,
How does it work if we don't adopt this part? Sorry. What happens? I mean, I guess I'm not really understanding what's going on with that recommendation.
There tends to be a lot of politicizing of redistricting. I'm sure the mayor knows a little bit more about this. I've not seen a census occur in Kansas and what's happened over in the legislature that occurred before I got here. So.
There is a strong concern on the part of rural representatives that that populated areas